By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to set up your first product so you can start selling on Shopify. You'll learn everything from how to add your product title, price, and photos, all the way to writing a description that actually helps convert visitors into buyers. If you also want to learn how to add that product into your actual Shopify website, I'll leave a link to one of my other videos in the description that walks you through step by step. And if you're serious about building your store the right way, I want to invite you to join my private community where you'll get full access to step-by-step videos just like the one you're about to see, plus one-on-one coaching from me to help grow faster. I'll drop that link in the description for you as well. Now let's get into the exact method that I teach inside of my community to quickly and confidently add your first product. All right, so now we have gotten everything set up. We've installed the apps. It's time to actually get down to the nitty-gritty of things. So we are going to create our products. So first thing I'm going to do, we're not going to create collections or anything like that. We have to start with products. So you're going to go to the products section, click add products, and here you're going to see all of your variables. So title your product whatever you want. If you want to use your brand name before your product, go ahead and do that. Now, before we get into this, one thing I always like to do is I always like to suggest that you guys look at other sites that are doing numbers. I always love to check Uddy. For those of you guys that don't know what Uddy is or who the owner is Davey Fogarty. He is an amazing entrepreneur that's done nearly $1 billion in sales across his e-commerce companies, and he also coaches and mentors brands that are doing $1 million plus per year. So I always love to actually check out what his brand is doing because they are A/B testing constantly. They're constantly testing what works and what doesn't. So if we're able to look at what they're doing right now and use it on our site, we can see what is winning and what isn't. This allows us to not have to actually worry about testing it ourselves and possibly losing out on money because we can just see what they're already doing. So I like to do this. You can see their product page. All they have is Avengers for this one. And then they have Uddy TM original license. So maybe I want to do something like this. Now for my first product, and I'm only gonna do 2 products. So let's just say this one is going to be called, grass fed beef tallow. Okay. And now for the description, I typically don't like to put anything in the description, and that's because when we actually build out the store, we're going to be adding more visually appealing descriptions. So I don't really like to worry about it too much for this section. I just don't think it looks that nice. If you want to put a description, you can put a one-liner, but I'm not even gonna just because there's no point. Now, media, you're going to upload any images that you have of the product. When you're selecting images, they need to be high quality and they need to make sure that the customers know what the product is just by looking at the images. A lot of customers are going to sites and they're not really reading the descriptions that you have. They're just looking at the images or videos, if you have any, to get the information that they need. And that's because of people's short attention span. So make sure the visuals are clear and they're good quality, okay? Okay, so here are my images that I'm going to add. As you can see, I have one main product image. This is called the hero image. I like this because it has the leaves behind it. If you just want a main product image, that's totally fine. Go ahead and add that. As you can see, I have some other product images just talking a little bit about what it is the product actually does and so on. So take your time. If you're not that good at graphic design, go on Fiverr and hire someone for fairly cheap and they'll create the images for you. But you can 100% do this all in Canva as long as you have one solid photo of the actual product. So I want to actually adjust these a little bit. So I'm gonna bring this down. I want that to be last. I like that. So I'm gonna move this here I'm gonna move this here. I'm gonna move this to the end. And I like this because it tells people what our product does, why it's better than the others, how to use it, and so on. Okay, so I like that. I'm gonna leave it like that. Now, in terms of pricing, this is really gonna depend. I suggest go search around, see what customers are pricing it for. What I'm going to suggest is don't make it that much more, don't make it too expensive. Remember that at the end of the day, people can buy anything they want on Amazon. So if your product is $50, but they can buy it for $20 on Amazon, they're always gonna go to Amazon and buy it. So highly suggest being somewhat competitive with the pricing, or have a standout feature that no other product on Amazon has for that specific product. So for example, beef tallow, maybe I have another feature that I don't know, it grows your hair somehow. I don't know, but maybe that's a feature. Okay, well, no other beef tallow can do that, so I can charge more. But for this example, I'm not growing hair, so we're just going to leave it at a normal price. And you also have to take into account what your cost of goods is. So typically, at a minimum, you want to have a 50% margin. Now, I think that's fairly low, but it does depend on what industry you're in, and it varies. So do some research. Don't take this lightly because it is a big thing. It can deter customers from purchasing, but at the same time, it can also make you lose some money. Now, sometimes what people do is they'll put one product at a super low price in hopes of getting people to actually add another product to cart at the same time that has a healthier margin, thus increasing your AOV and your conversion rate. Now, I'm not gonna get that in depth in this. We're just going to keep it simple, and I'm going to charge $30. Now, I'm going to charge in particular $29.97. There are studies that I'm fairly certain it's a study done by Walmart where it's something to do with the psychology in the brain that when people see the number 7 at the end of the price, they're more likely to pick it up and be willing to actually purchase it. Same thing with 99. I'm gonna go 97, but what you don't want to do is you don't just want to do 30. It's not as appealing. It looks more expensive. So we're gonna do 29.97, and let's do a compare at price of 33.97 for right now. Maybe we want to keep it, maybe we don't. Actually, you know what? We don't. I don't want to do a compare at price. You're gonna leave it blank, and I'm gonna tell you exactly why when we actually set up those product bundles in the app that we created. If you have a cost per item, which you always will, go ahead and put it in. My cost per item is $3.10. That's everything, cost of goods plus getting the product shipped from my manufacturer to me. So as you can see, I have a 90% gross margin, which tells me one of two things. Number one, this might be a little high in price, and it sort of is. I could probably get away with like a $24.97, and that'll leave me still at an 87% margin, which is awesome, but it's completely up to you. I'll leave it just for the sake of this. We're not really gonna do anything crazy. Inventory. Again, if you're importing a product from your dropshipping service, you don't need to worry about this. Your supplier will track everything, but for this example, I'm going to be acting as though I'm actually selling the products out of my house. So if that is the case, I do want to track quantity, okay? And what I don't want to do is I don't want to continue selling when I'm out of stock because I have no product to ship to a customer. So I'm just going to leave that not checked. Does this product have a SKU or barcode? Mine does, but you don't need to worry about that. For those of you guys that don't know what a SKU is, it is essentially a label. So for example, I might name this SKU beef tallow. And what that does is it basically separates my beef tallow from my, let's say I have a face cleanser. It separates the two products in two different SKUs. And my face cleanser will have another SKU. And that's essentially what that is. No problem. We can skip that. Now, inventory, you can select how many units you have. Let's just say I have 403. Okay, so I have 403 units. How much does your product weigh? yes, go out and, well, you actually don't need to weigh it. You can just message your manufacturer, hey, how much does each jar weigh? Mine is a 4-ounce jar. Now, let's just say with the actual container, shipping everything, let's just say it is, oops, we're going to change these to ounces, and let's just say it's 5.2. I don't actually know if that's accurate or not, but again, there you go, 5.2. If you want, you can add customs information. So country of origin, I'll just put Canada, province, we'll just go Ontario, and harmonized system, you don't need to worry about that. Okay, awesome. Now again, down to the bottom, search engine listing. So this is gonna be for your SEO. You go grass-fed beef tallow, Cecil skin, grass-fed beef tallow, and you can do whatever you want. If you want to put something else, you can 100% do this. This isn't, of course, on SEO, so I'm not going to give you guys too much advice. I would just do something like this where you separate and put your brand name. Again, you're going for branding, right? Because let's see what happens when I search up beef tallow. And I'm gonna put beef tallow for skin because you can also cook with beef tallow. What comes up? Now, it will say up here like Terra Tallow, as you can see. These guys have Canadian beef tallow skincare, beef tallow made in Canada. So you can try something like that. That's an awesome one. Canadian beef tallow skincare. Now, this is especially in regards to what's happening with tariffs between Canada and the US right now. There's a little bit of friction. So Canadian businesses are going a little bit out of their way to show their customers that they are Canadian. So you can lean into that if you want. However, right now, I'm just gonna leave it at this. And again, add your meta description. You can see that these guys, beef tallow for skin, works great for dry oily combination. Just some benefits, some objections that people might have, you are going to want to put in your description. I might just put beef tallow for skin, works for dry or oily or sensitive skin. Okay, and that's it. And so now we're gonna save, and all I'm going to do is do that for every product that I have.